The football season is back underway, and on this Friday, it will be the return of the Championship. And as a Sunderland fan, I am very much looking forward to this season in the Championship. Well, because I'm watching it as a neutral, first of all. And secondly, it looks like it's going to be a pretty competitive season. Hopefully it is, because the last few years it's been pretty underwhelming, especially at the top of the table. So hopefully we'll see some actual things happen this year. Probably not, but we can hope. And of course, it is that time of year where I do try and predict the table. I'm doing my Championship predictions today, and then I'll be doing my Premier League predictions next week. So hopefully you guys will stick around for those. And as always, these are only my predictions. Obviously, there's still a month of the window left to go. So obviously there is still time for players to sign for clubs and stuff like that. Or there's still loads of time for clubs to strengthen the teams. So if I've put your club lower than where you think it should be, please don't get annoyed at me. It's just my prediction. I know nothing about football, let's be honest. And who knows? Hopefully your team will prove me wrong this season if I've got them quite low. And I think without further ado, let's get right into these predictions. 24th, Sheffield Wednesday. I mean, this is basically just a tap in for me. I mean, what an absolute mess Sheffield Wednesday are in a minute. It's just not good there at all. After we've nearly lost Morecambe, obviously, I'm of course on the 5th of August, Morecambe have pretty much now shut up shop, really. Unless a complete miracle happens, they're probably going to go. And truthfully, things are heading that way for Sheffield Wednesday as well. Obviously, the owner is just reluctant to sell. There's been no new signings. Manager's gone. Obviously, Henrik Pettersson's come in. I mean, I feel sorry for him. He's come into a complete dumpster fire. To be honest, the players are leaving. They've barely got enough players to make a full squad. Like against Leicester on the opening day, their squad's gonna be mostly youth players. It's not looking good at all. The North Stand's being shut by the council. It's just, I think anything that could have went wrong for Sheffield Wednesday, somewhere has gone wrong. It's just not been good at all for them. And there could be potential points deductions coming as well. Just nothing. It's not good at looking at Hillsborough right now. And obviously, I hope that things do get better. Because as a Sunderland fan, I've got a lot of time for Sheffield Wednesday. Really good set of fans. I'm not got a bad word to say about them. Hopefully the things getting sorted out soon, because they are a big club. They're a big club, and it would be an absolute crime if we lost Sheffield Wednesday as well. It really would. But at the moment, 24th, and I think this one's nailed on. 23rd, Oxford United. Bit of a controversial one, this one, actually, because I think a lot of people expect Oxford to kick on this season. And they could, but I just don't know of Oxford, to be honest with you. I mean, yeah, Gary Rowett's a good manager at this level. He's a solid pair of hands. They've kept hold of the squad together for the most part. Obviously, I think Ruben Rodriguez probably been the most noble departure, probably says everything, really. But it's just the signings Oxford made. I'm sort of looking at them thinking, I don't know. Luke Harris, I think, on loan's a good little addition, though. And of course, they have brought in a new striker from Italy, just not long ago as well. But I mean, to be fair, truthfully, he's going to have to hit the ground running straight away, because Oxford last season only scored more goals than 6 teams. Like, Oxford was not good in front of goal last season at all. And again, this new number 9's got to hit the ground running straight away, because if not, Oxford could be in trouble this season. They really could. And then of course, obviously, second season syndrome does exist as well. So Oxford. I backed them to stay up last year. This year, not quite as sure, but I'll have to wait and see. 22nd, Hull City. Again, another bit of a weird one, because I finalised these predictions last week, and I swear, last week, things were just fucking ramped up for every single club in this fucking league. Because now that all of a sudden they're making loads of signings, when I'm just making me think, okay, I'm going to make these changes, these predictions left, right, and centre. But I've still got Hull to get relegated, and obviously, yes, they are currently under a little bit of a transfer embargo at the moment. They can still sign players, but obviously can't actually pay any money for anybody. But truthfully, so far they've been using the free agents market quite well. Actually, I'm liking the look of some of the signings that I've made so far. I mean, they're not signings that are going to make it drum out your seat by any means, but they're still solid additions for a championship team, especially towards the bottom of the table. New manager Sergei Yakirovic, he's got a good record out in Croatia. However, the championship is a completely different ball game in all aspects, really. And obviously, we all know the owners of Hull. I mean, yeah, he's got a lot of money behind them, but he's not afraid to sack a manager when things go wrong. I mean, literally, he paid a fee for Ruben Sellers last season and then fucking sacked him anyway. Like he's a weird bloke, really. He really is. I know about the parts of Sean McLaughlin and Alfie Jones are both gone. That's two big holes in the defence. Obviously, they've gone to Blackburn and Middlesbrough respectively. And again, just the lack of firepower up front at the moment. Kyle Jones is the only recognised centre forward at the club. They are trying to get in Joe Gelhardt as well, but he's not a number 9 at all. He's more of like a number 10/winger if you really wanted them to. He's not a line-out striker. And yeah, in terms of goals, Hull even worse than Oxford last year because Hull were the lowest goal scorers in the league last season. And truthfully, if Luton had held on to Rob Edwards just a little bit, if Luton hadn't held on to Rob Edwards as long as it did, Hull would probably be playing League One football right now. So yeah, it's just, I don't know. I think although they have bought well for what they can do, Hull, I don't know. There's still just a lot of underlying factors which makes me think that they could be towards the drop this season. But again, they could surprise me. 21st, Preston North End. Again, just another team who ended last season just really, really poorly. I mean, one win in the last 16 league games just isn't good enough at all. And normally that probably would have been enough to see the manager get sacked. But they were doing well in the FA Cup. So that's probably why Paul Heckerpotman's still in a job at the moment. Again, notable departures. Emilio Reese is gone. Freddie Woodman's gone. Two pretty key players there, but they have been replaced. Daniel Iverson's back at Preston now permanently. He's now back, which is a pretty decent little pick-up there. They've also brought in Jordan Thompson to replace Ryan Ledson, which I think is a little bit of an upgrade there as well. Michael Smith as well coming in from Sheffield Wednesday on the free deal, which isn't too bad either. But I just don't know. I think my only issue with Preston really is the sort of creativity in the final third. Michael Smith, he's very much an old school striker where he's very good. He's like a big number 9. He's very good in the air, and he requires a lot of service. And truthfully, I don't think he's that at the Championship. I think he's definitely more suited to League One, personally. But yeah, I just don't know if he'll get the service that's needed to actually really do well. And Daniel Jefferson, like how is he still getting moves to a Championship club in 2025? It's just mental. And again, the current theme at the minute here, the Preston were the 4th lowest goal scorers last season. And I just don't know if they've got the answers this season. And I mean, yeah, I've got them to stay up, but it's not a lot in it. There really isn't much in it at all, in my opinion. 20th, Charlton Athletic, the first of the new promoted sides that they're talking about in this video. Yes, I think all 3 promoted clubs will stay up this season. It's not really a shock compared to other seasons, but it is what it is. Yeah, Charlton first year back in this level after 5 years away. After that's been here back in 2020. Nathan Jones at the helm as well, which I think is a really, really good manager to have at this level. You can say what you want about him. I mean, personally, I'm not a big fan of Nathan Jones, but he is a very good manager to have for a new promoted side. And again, I think it's important for Charlton. They've had no notable departures really. They've managed to keep the squad together, which is always important. Transfer that I'm liking the transfers to mid so far. They've basically just raided Luton for players. Thomas Kaminski, Amari Bell, Reece Burke, all players with recent experience in the Premier League as well as the Championship. Obviously, getting promoted out of the Championship as well, which I think is all good pickups. And I think they've bought really well from League One. Obviously, Charlie Kellman, the top goal scorer in League One last season. I think he's a brilliant pickup. Sonny Carey as well, and Rob Apter. Really, I think Charlton have utilised the League One market quite well. And truthfully, I think they'll be fine this season. I really do. I think they'll be okay this season. 19th, Wrexham. Now, have I put Wrexham too low in this? Because originally I hadn't to get relegated. I'll be honest, a few weeks back I had them to go down, but yeah, they've started to make the signings up quite rapidly recently. So I've got them to stay up. Wrexham been a long time out since they were in the second tier. First time since 1982. Literally, the last time Wrexham were in the second tier, fucking Jockey Wilson was the Darts World Champion. It's been a while. I suppose my grabs of Wrexham overall is, well, one, Phil Parkinson. Obviously, I know I am a Sunderland fan, and I suppose a little bit of bias will be in this one because of our experience with Phil Parkinson as manager, but I just don't think he's a manager at the Championship level. And albeit, I know he has managed at this level before, but it didn't really go well. Last time out, he got relegated to Bolton back in 2019. Obviously, I know they had issues off the pitch, but even still, I mean, also as well, he obviously got relegated with Colchester back in the day as well. just he's always been a solid pair of hands in League One and League Two level, just not in the Championship. And I suppose as well with Wrexham, they've got a very big squad at the minute. They've got a lot of average League One players on high wages, which I think highlights just the overall lack of departures at the club at the minute. But although to be fair, I think they've bought quite well so far, especially up front. Ryan Hardy, Josh Windass, Lewis O'Brien, Kiefer Moose is coming as well. Nathan Broadhead could be on his way in. So up front, Wrexham looking solid up front, but I don't know them. They've got an experienced squad. I'll give them that, but for me personally, I think again apart from the forward line, is just a squad that overall for me just lacks a lot of quality. But as we all know, with Wrexham, they've got money to spend, and if they are in a predicament in January, they'll have enough funds to get themselves out of it. I'm pretty sure. But yeah, I know it's crazy clear this year. Phil Parkinson again, I just don't rate him at all as a manager. And McIlhenny and Reynolds, will they have the backbone to sack him if things are going wrong? I don't know. I'll have to wait and see. But I've got them 19th for now. I mean, they could end up surprising me and finishing in the top 6. But right now, I just don't see it. 18th, I've gone with Blackburn Rovers. Now, last year I had Blackburn they get relegated. They didn't. They finished 7th. Should have finished in the top 6. Really, had John Eustace not left. But yeah, Blackburn has not been a great summer at all from Ewood Park. Mostly from the departures. I mean, Therese Dolan, that's a massive loss for Blackburn. It really is. Andres Weimann gone, Danny Bart's gone. And I know Danny Bart's getting on a bit now, but he's still a very solid defender at this level. Also question marks over Valérien Ismaël as well. And I know he ended last season quite well, but I just don't know if he'll be. I just don't know if he'll be seen the full season now. Again, Blackburn, the Benkeys are very trigger-happy owners. When things are going wrong, they're unhappy to pull the plug. One thing I will say for Blackburn, though, obviously they've been spending money this season. Not loads of money by any means, but most of the signings have been bought with money, so they clearly got some sort of mind. But again, just the players are just a bit unknown quantities, I think, at the minute. Yeah, I'm not sure with Blackburn this season. I'm really not. Yeah, and it's crazy to have them finish 11 places lower than they were last season. But yeah, I'm just not sure with Blackburn at the minute. I'm really not. 17th, Portsmouth. Portsmouth, managed to get over the line in the end last season. Obviously, he was looking like doom and gloom at one point, but they did get the job done. John Mousinho is the only manager who was in charge of a championship club last season. And as I saw last season, it's still here now. And it's crazy. It really is crazy how many departures there have been since I saw last season. Again, the signings at Portsmouth haven't really been ones that make you think they could push on this season. John Swift, I think, had a tough time with West Brom. I think going back to his boyhood club could maybe reignite the play that we saw at Reading. But other than that, the signings are made from Australia and South Africa. Just I don't know. They're just unknown players who you just don't know how they're going to adapt to this level. But again, I suppose with Portsmouth, they haven't really lost any key players this season, so I suppose important. There's also Colby Bishop's, I think, a very capable striker at the level. And one thing I like about Portsmouth is that they've got a good core at the squad, which is what I like about them. And yeah, again, and obviously like with Oxford, second season syndrome could have happened. But I mean, to be fair, I think that can only happen really if they do go down. But truthfully, I think they'll be okay. But I think truthfully they've got to improve their away form though. I think that's vital because although Fratton Park was a fortress last season, they were so poor on the road. Conceded 50 goals in 23 away games that season, just not good enough at all. And yeah, they've got to do better in that department if they are going to have a better season this time around. 16th, I've gone with Queen's Park Rangers. Now, so far the strategy QPR this season is pretty similar to one that Southern AFC did last season. Hiring an unknown French manager from Ligue 1 who's alright over there in Julien Stéphane. Again, I suppose QPR, they've kept the squad together, which was important. Elias Chair, Jimmy Dunn, players like that, they're still there. Signing so far, a mixed bag. I mean, I think again, like what Charlton did, they've done well in League One. Kwame Poker, I think, is a brilliant signing. Especially with QPR, he could have easily gone to a club high up in the league, in my opinion. Easily could have done. Roman Burrell from Burton Albion, 11 goals last season in League One. Amadou Mbengue from Reading as well, solid defender. And again, they've brought a lot of young players from abroad and from academies in the Premier League. So yeah, I think the season will be it'll be more of like a transition year for QPR. Because I think last year it could have done more under Fuentes, but I think it'll be another year this year where they won't be in danger of going down. It'll be another just mid-table mediocrity year, I think, for QPR this year. 15th, I've gone with Stoke City. Now, Stoke, when are they ever going to have a good season? It's been 7 years since they were relegated from the Premier League, and yeah, it's just been rotten from head to toe since then for Stoke. They've not had a good year in the Championship at all. Again, last year, nearly went down, survived on the final day. Mark Robbins kept them up after what's been a pretty turbulent season. Obviously, Schumacher was sacked. Then obviously got the lad from Norwich, and he was just a complete fucking train wreck. And then they stayed up. But yeah, again with Stoke, it seems like every year Stoke look like on paper they make some promising signings and just completely collapse. And it's crazy. Obviously Walter Berger's gone. Obviously I know he wasn't brilliant all the time at Stoke last year, but I think it's still a pretty big hole in them for them now. The players I brought in again. These, Ashley Phillips is back on loan for another year from Spurs, which was important. David Mabama as well, from Man City, promising young player there. I think he could be. He could be one to look out for this season. I think obviously his first year as a professional footballer, he'll be looking to hit the ground running. Saul Thomas, I think, deserves another crack at the Championship. I think he could be a good option. And obviously Aaron Cresswell as well. Obviously fell out of favour at West Ham last few years, but I think for a club, especially in the bottom half of the Championship, I think that's a very good pull for Stoke, to be fair. But yeah, again, I just don't know. Truthfully, I just think the teams above them just improved a bit more. There's a bit more about them in there. But yeah, I think Stoke will probably have a more boring season this year around, where they won't have to sack Robbins. They can have this boring year mid-table. Everything will be rosy, but again, we'll have to wait and see. 14th with Watford. Now, with Watford, I'm a little bit torn with this one, because I feel like I could probably put Watford higher in my table, but I've got them 14th for now. I think this is definitely more of like a conservative prediction, a bit more like, okay, I think it's a very safe prediction for Watford 14th. Again, new manager Paolo Pezzolano is now in charge, who, believe it or not, has never actually managed Watford before, which I think is a crazy start, because this bloke just screams Watford manager, doesn't he? He really does. Again, a couple of big names gone. Francisco Cerrialta's gone. Mileta Rahovi's now gone permanently, as well as Antonio Tikvic. But overall, Watford have made some pretty decent signings so far. I've seen Nathan Baxter, come in well. Hector Cipriano as well. Mark Border's got previous experience at this level as well. Truthfully, I think Watford have bought well, but my only question mark really is whether or not Petalano will actually see out the full season. Now, I know obviously Tom Cleverley did see out the full 46 games last season, but obviously he was sacked straight away after the season finished. And truthfully, if you look at how poorly Watford ended last season, it's probably not really too hard to see why Cleverley was sacked. But yeah, obviously, Watford, owners are very infamous for sacking managers after like 2 minutes at the club. So really, that's my only sort of question mark for Watford right now, is if they will keep hold of the manager for the full season, and then if not, if they do sack him, then they'll just have to start again. So that's my only real thing with Watford at the moment. But I think 14th, again, it could be higher, but I think 14th is about right at the moment. 13th, Derby County. Now, obviously, I've got Derby defence significantly higher than Portsmouth and Oxford this season, which is, I think for me, it just says how promising Derby looked this season. John Eustace, to be fair, again, if it wasn't for him, they'll be playing League One football right now. For me, I think he's a top manager at this level. I really do. Again, no departures to kept the squad together. Again, which is important. And to be fair, I think so far that the signs they've made have been pretty promising. Obviously Cotton Morris obviously didn't do as well last year with Luton, but he's still got a very good track record in this league. Danny Bart as well. I think he's still got a good season or two left in him. Andrew Weimann as well. Not a perfect goal scorer these days, but you can still chip in with a few goals here and there. And honestly, Derby are looking pretty good at the moment. The end of last season, well, truthfully, I've got them finished 13th. I mean, to be fair, I'm really amateur to see how Derby get on the season. I really am. 12th, going with Middlesbrough. Now, truthfully, Middlesbrough are looking a lot better than what they were a few weeks ago. I'll be honest, a few weeks ago it was looking pretty bleak over at the Riverside, but things seem to be getting a little bit better now. Obviously, Michael Carrick's gone. Rob Edwards is now in charge, which I think he'll need a good start of the season to really convince the fans that he is the man for the job. Obviously, so far it's been a bit of a slow summer. Alfie Jones and Abdullah Kante both come in, which have pretty solid pickups there, to be fair. Obviously, Callum Britton looks as though he's going to be announced any minute. So yeah, they're slowly starting to get planning in Middlesbrough, but it's just I think they've started way too late in this window, to be fair. And truthfully, I think that's the only. I think their best bit of business so far was actually getting £5 million for Josh Coburn. I don't know how they managed to get £5 million for him, but a fair play, because he's not worth that money at all. And then obviously last year Middlesbrough, it ended pretty poorly. I mean, they were never really in the top six, and truthfully, I think under the Michael Carrick years, they should have done much better than what they did. Obviously, apart from that 1 year where they did get playoffs quite comfortably, other than that, it just wasn't good enough at all, really. And obviously, Michael Carrick plays a nice brand of football, but just up front, it was useless. It really were. And of course, now with Edwards, he's a completely different style of player. Really, so it's going to take a bit of time for Barrett to really push on the season, I think, in my opinion. I think 12th at the moment is about. I think that's fair. But again, there's still a month to go. They could have a completely different squad by then. Who knows? But again, I think 12's about right. 11th, Millwall. Again, ended really well last season under Alex Neil. I mean, to be fair, if there's ever a manager that was a manager in the club that was a match made in heaven, it's Alex Neil at Millwall. I mean, it fits. It really does. Again, with Millwall, no noble departures. Tanganga's still a Millwall player somehow, even though Premier League clubs can literally buy him for £1 million. So clearly nobody wants him at the minute. So he's still at Millwall. Signings recently have been a lot better. I think Luongo and Alfie Doughty have been really, really good pickups, which goes truthfully before that, Millwall's signings hadn't been too great. I mean, again, I've just mentioned it before, but £5 million on Josh Coburn, a bit of a stretch. I mean, unless Millwall got faith that he's going to bag 20 goals this season, then fair enough. But yeah, I think Doughty and Luongo definitely 2 signings, which I think they did desperately needed to make. And I mean, to be fair, truthfully, the only reason why I've got Millwall so low is just because I just think the teams above them, there's got a bit too much, truthfully. But I think, again, it'll be another pretty solid year for Millwall, and then maybe next year they can think about maybe having that push towards the top 6. 10th, West Bromwich Albion. Last season ended really poorly under Tony Mowbray. The second spell the club did not go to plan at all. Ryan Mason now at the helm, his first ever managerial job. So I think it's sort of I think that's the whole message that West Brom is sending out, that this year more likely probably is going to be more of like a transition year, if anything. Again, if they do get top 6, then fair enough. But I think if they don't, then it's probably not going to be a complete disaster. Again, no noble departures really. Mikey Johnson is going to be still here for now, as is Tom Fellows. They brought in Nat Phillips on back, which is a good signing, which is. It's crazy to think how he's never played for West Brom before. Cause I was convinced he'd already played for West Brom previously, but he hadn't. So his first, his permanent move. But other than that, I'm just not entirely sold on West Brom signings so far. They haven't really bought that well, in my opinion. And at the minute, obviously, I think West Brom's main issue last season was the draws. Only pressing through more games than West Brom last season, which I think was only what cost them top 6. And right now, the midfield's looking a little bit better at the minute. I haven't really got much of a midfield. Loads of strikers and defenders and whatnot, but the midfield looking pretty light. And a couple of injuries. Could be pretty poor, but I've got them 10th. I'll be honest. I'm not really expecting fireworks from us from this year, but again, I think it'll be a pretty solid year from them. 9th, Bristol City. Obviously, Bristol City did make it in the playoffs last season. However, that was then followed by a record playoff defeat, 6-0 defeat on aggregate to Sheffield United. Liam Manning's now gone. He's got the Norwich League obviously being replaced by Gerhard Struber, who, truthfully, I think at first you're sort of like, don't know about him, but I think the more you'll remember what he did at Barnsley and what he's trying to do, you'll be thinking, you know what? But I think Bristol City could do a lot worse. Obviously, I think Struber, he laid the foundations for what Valérien Ismaël then took over at Barnsley during that season where they did make top 6. Naki Wells, the only real notable departure that they have let go of this season, but again, they've replaced him well with Emil Rees, which I think on a free, really nice bit of business. Other than that, again, the signings of Bristol City just haven't really been ones that make it really get too excited about them. But yeah, truthfully, I think obviously last year Bristol City have now officially got the record for having the lowest amount of points ever for a top 6 side. But I think this year it'll be a little bit more tight knit at the top. I don't really see Bristol City being up there this season. But again, I think 9th, although 9th is a little bit of a step backwards, I think for the long term it's not bad. And truthfully, they could finish a lot lower. But I've got 9th for now. I think they'll be okay. I think they'll be fine. 8th, Swansea City. Now I must be the only person so far I've seen who thinks Swansea will have a good season this year, because everyone's convinced they're going to finish bottom half, and I'm like, I don't know, I've got a good feeling about Swansea this year, I really do. Last year they ended really well under Alan Sheehan, and obviously, caretaker spell, which was actually quite good. He's now been given the job permanently. Obviously, we all know how that can usually turn out when a caretaker gets a full-time gig, but it is different. He's had the full pre-season, full summer to get things up and running. And then, truthfully, I think right now he's probably quite a good option for Swansea. Obviously, Harry Darling's gone. That's a big loss for them at the back. But I think that prepares him quite well. Cameron Burgess, again, recent experience in the Premier League with Ipswich as well. Obviously, as well as getting promoted out of the Championship. Again, League One, they've posted good players. Ethan Galbraith for £1 million. I think an absolute steal. For Swansea, I think he'll have a good year. Again, Ricardo Santos from Bolton, one of the best defenders in League One. I think he's a good option to have as well. And again, Swansea, I think again they've got a solid core at the squad. But the main reason why I haven't got them to get top 6 this year is because for me, I just don't know if they've got any players who are game changers. If you know what I mean. I've got that one or two players who, at the flick of a switch, can get a goal. For you out of absolutely nothing, and create something special. Which it's not the end of the world for a team to have that, but I just think for Swansea to really make a big dent in the top 6, they've got to have that biggish name. And right now, I think although I think they've got a very solid unit, Swansea, and on 2 fair, this will be their best season in this league for a while. I've still got them to get 8th, which it's still alright, but again, it's not quite top 6. 7th, Sheffield United. This is a big call, I'm aware. Last season's playoff finalists, not even getting top 6 the following season. Usually the playoff finalists who lost are usually one of the favourites to get top 2. But honestly, Sheffield United, I just don't know what the hell's going on at the Bramall Lane right now. I really don't. Again, obviously, of course, before playoff final defeat last season, already that can really affect morale, especially in the manner with which they lost the game as well. We're absolutely cruising for the whole game. Should have been out of sight really, and then 2 late goals from the Mike Mackhams to get the job done. And obviously, Sheffield United now the team with the most points ever to not get promoted. 92 points they got last season, not getting promoted. It's just crazy. Again, your manager Chris Wilder's gone, somewhat controversially. But I mean, to be fair, I think everyone in football knows how much of a tosser the bloke is anyway, so I don't think that much of a shock really. But I just think bringing Ruben Sellers as a replacement, someone who just narrowly kept Hull up last season. I mean, it wasn't really good at all. I mean, obviously, I think again, other than the spell at Reading, Sellers isn't really a manager who's yet to convince me that he's a good manager for this level. Anyway, I don't know how he's got this job, but it is what it is. Departures, they've lost quite a few. Obviously, Vinny Steele has gone, Kiefer Moore has gone. Ahmed Hozic has gone as well. You know, like Gus Hamer could still go as well. I mean, actually, Gus Hamer is probably the only real good top player that they've got left at the club, really, because Sheffield United, they've been rinsed dry this season. This pre-season really have. I think the players are brought on loan are quite good. Obviously, Louis Barry, Tyler Bin, both good loan moves, but other than that, they know the permanent signings from Bulgaria and Hungary. Just like, it makes you question what's actually going on at Sheffield United this season. Because for me, this is not a team who are acting as though they're going to be not only getting top 6, but fighting for top 2, which is what they really should be fighting for. But honestly, I don't see it right now, Sheffield. I really don't. I mean, again, I don't know where the goals could come from. Tom Cannon, again, over than this good spell of pressing, is not really impressed me ever. Therese Campbell, again, he's not consistent enough in my opinion. I just Callum. I mean, looking at all of Sheffield, they're going to be relying heavily on Gus Hamer this season, and if he goes, could things be bad. I mean, again, they've got time to address this, but right now I don't see them getting top 6 at all. And again, they could end up getting a few players in by this point, but yeah, 7th for me. I just don't see them getting top 6 at the minute. I really don't. 6, Leicester City. Now again, at Leicester, again, it hasn't been the summer that's gotten the plan too much for them. Obviously, again, lots of issues behind the scenes at board level. Van Nistelrooy's gone. He's been replaced by Marty Cifuentes, who, again, it's a pretty solid appointment for this level. Again, I suppose to be fair with Leicester, it's been a pretty quiet window so far. But no real departures. Obviously, we all knew Vardy was leaving anyway, so he's gone. They've only brought in Begovic as a goalkeeper. Again, it's a solid option to have the club, but he's been the only signing so far. Bilal El Khanous it looks like he'll be going to Leeds pretty soon as well, so they'll be losing hold of him. But other than that, it's basically the exact same squad they've had when they were here last time, which last time they absolutely walked the league, so there's no reason why they can't do that again this time. But the main reason why I've got Leicester fighting for top 2 is again because of the potential points deduction that is facing this season. I've read that apparently the worst case will probably be -9, which isn't bad. I think that's easy. I think they can easily make that up. Really, Leicester still get top 6. But yeah, I don't know. It's just been a pretty slow window so far, hasn't really, Leicester. So nothing really too exciting. But again, I think they still have just enough quality to get top 6. 5th, Norwich City. Things looking pretty promising at Norwich this season. Obviously, the sacked Torup last year. I mean, it seemed harsh at the time, but when you really look at it, I mean, his ideas just weren't really doing a job at Carroll Road, and they needed a fresh change. And Liam Manning, for me, the really good appointment. Obviously, Boyer Saints is gone now. I mean, as a Sun fan, I think he's a rat personally, but he's gone on to bigger things. John Robb's now gone permanently as well. Josh Sargent's still here. Obviously, he's moved back to Germany. Game fell through, so he's still here. And then Norwich transfers have been pretty wild so far. They've bought from pretty much all 4 corners. Bought from abroad. Established championship players. From Premier League youth players as well. Like they've got a bit of everything so far this year in Norwich. And I think the main offer for Norwich, I think they've got to give Liam Manning time. I mean, truthfully, this bloke, everybody's gone. This bloke, he's left the club better than when he found MK Dons. Did very well. Obviously, Bristol City did very well. There was Oxford. He's got a very good track record, Liam Manning, and yeah, I think he'll have a good year at Norwich. I'm really excited to see how Norwich get on this year. I think 5th place. I think they're in for a good year. 4th, Coventry City. Again, the other playoff team who were a casualty of Sunderland's success last season. Again, Frank Lampard came in, which was seen as a joke appointment, especially after sacking Mark Robbins after he was at the club for so long. But fair play to Lampard, because he proved everybody wrong. Coventry were brilliant under Lampard, they really were. And yeah, Coventry again, it's been a pretty quiet window so far. Again, they've kept the squad together again, which is always nice, always important to have, really. And the signings, although there haven't been many, I think they've been pretty good. Again, quality over quantity. I think Carl Rushworth's a very good goalkeeping option because I think the keepers needed refreshing really. I don't think Ben Wilson's really answering anymore for Coventry, and also King has a hidden as well. He's had a good career at Preston. He's now at Coventry. I think he's a very good option to have as a winger / wing back. He's not a bad option. But I think for Coventry mainly, I think the main thing for the end of the season is that they have a good start. Because obviously, last few years they've had pretty poor starts, which is what's ultimately hampered their seasons. They've either scraped playoffs or just missed out. But if they had a good start, then who knows what they could do. And I think this year is going to be the year where we have to find out if it is a Mark Robbins thing or just a Coventry thing. But yeah, I think Coventry, they're well under Lampard. I think, again, the way they lost the playoffs would have been cruel, but, time's passed since then. It's been only 3 months since that happened now. I think they'll be raring to go this season. I think they'll be a pretty solid 4th place this year. Third, Birmingham City. I think it's weird to think as Birmingham as a new promoted club because they're doing all the right things, aren't they, really? I mean, again, you can say what you want to say about the ownership, but they've got money to spend and they're spending it well. Last year, record points in an EFL season. To be fair, even before they made any sort of signings this year, they all had a pretty solid mid-table squad for the Championship. But again, the signings they've made have been pretty good. Damari Gray's now back. James Beale obviously had a good year last year. Sheffield Wednesday. Tommy Doyle. Truthfully, I think he could easily be at a lower end Premier League team. And then Iran Cashin as well, unbelievable signing from Brighton. Again, they've kept the squad together as well. It was important. Obviously, Chris Davies. Last year his first full year as a manager, pretty successful. But again, it was pretty easy for him in League One. He's now going to deal with this up with the Championship. I mean, again, I think with the way Birmingham are going, I think it's probably likely that they probably will end up keep on thriving. But yeah, I mean, truthfully, I very nearly had them in 2nd place. Truth be told, but I've got them 3rd, which I think things looking up at St Andrews this year. I think Birmingham are finally starting to be on the way back from where they used to be a couple of years ago. 2nd, Southampton. Again, last year was just a disaster and a half. St Mary's, which to be fair, I think is which is an understatement. 2nd worst team ever in Premier League history, 12 points they got all season and just wasn't good enough at all. Will Still is now at the helm. He's finally in English football. He's got a good record in France, but I think time will tell how well he'll adapt to England, especially the Championship. Again, I think as expected, they have lost a couple of players with Kyle Walker-Peters and Kamaldeen Sulemana both gone. And then, truthfully, the transfers that I've brought in mid so far, no one's not really going to get you out your seat. A couple of youngs from Germany, but even still, Southampton's squad's very, very good for this level. I mean, just the strike force of Burton, Diaz, Alan Armstrong, Che Adams. I mean, that's an unbelievable. Right there. Southampton's got 3 of the best ever strikers to play in the Championship right there in one squad. They've got firepower up front, and yeah, I think they'll be up there again this season. And I think this year they'll actually get top 2 this year. I'm pretty confident. First, Ipswich Town. I mean, again, I think like this one just it just feels like a tap in, doesn't it? Really, I mean, yeah, again, last year didn't go the plan for Ipswich in the Premier League. Spent a lot of money, but spent on Championship players. But this year, I mean, to be fair, I think if Ipswich don't get first, it could be seen as a failure. Which, joking aside, I think, for me personally, I think Ipswich got one of the best ever squads in Championship history. I mean, yeah, they didn't do very well in the Premier League last year, but like they've got a proven set of Championship players who. Sam Smollick, last time I was top goal scorer, Jack Clark, chipped in with goals and assists. Yeah, they've lost Liam Delap and Twansby, but, I think the signing of Azor Matusiwa, from France is a pretty good option. £7 million for a solid league on midfield is a very good bit of business. Personally, I think the squad's better now than what it was 2 years ago when they got promoted. So, yeah, truthfully, I think Ipswich probably will be finishing top of the table this year. And I'll be very surprised if they don't, to be honest. But guys, it's going to be it for this video. It's been a pretty long video. I've been recording for over 40 minutes. Yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed it anyway. Again, just a reminder, these are my predictions. Please don't get angry at me if I place your team low and where you think it should be. Again, feel free to let me know, guys, your predictions, how you think your team's going to get on this season. And yeah, I'll feed you again. Premier predictions will be out next week, so keep an eye out for those. But that's it for me. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you all next time.